Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, and if you are new then a big huge welcome to you. Today's video is something that I have recently come across, but I wasn't too sure about talking about it because it had something to do with work, but I know that this topic is important. Well, to me it is important, so I've decided just to make a little friendly version of this video so I don't really upset anyone. And yeah, I think that's probably enough explanation of details for that side. So I'm going to be talking about the video itself, and today's video is called "Should We Feel Sympathetic Towards Autism?" Now, this is something that I never really thought of before, and it's a case of, yeah, okay, and it was just like, wow, I never really expected to see that coming. So what happened was that whilst I was at work, and this is where I first heard of it, whilst I was in work, because I was doing a shift for a few hours, some workers who were working alongside me were talking about children. And of course, with my work being in a children's friendly environment, I thought that there was a pretty unusual topic, because sometimes they love to talk about children, but there was one little thing that really caught my attention, and that was autism. And bear in mind, these ladies are a little bit older than I am, so probably in their 50s or 60s, and they were discussing about why a child with autism is so difficult to handle, especially on school trips. And one of the ladies said to the group, "Oh, it's really hard. I don't know how teachers manage to control them, and I don't really know how we are supposed to be dealing with them, especially if the teachers are present whilst we were doing a presentation for the children's projects." And once I heard the lady talking about it, I said to her, well, it's not really that hard when you think about it, because I have autism myself, and I know it can be a struggle with people, but sometimes you really have to think about cooperating with the teachers and everyone else in the workplace, because it is important to include children with autism, and it's not as hard as you think, because a lot of children with autism would like to be engaged and interested. And in response, she said to me, well, you're sympathetic with them because you know that how they feel. And I thought, hang on a minute, what are you trying to say here? I wasn't angry or anything, but in my mindset I was like, are those really the right words to say that? No. It's not. It's not the right words. And talking to someone on the autistic spectrum, that you have sympathy for everyone who's on the spectrum, that's not right either. It's not a case of let's be angry about it because one person said it. It's kind of like you're using the wrong choice of words here, and you should really think before you speak about them. And I think since they were of an older generation, now don't get me wrong, I really respect people of the older generation because I consider them to be very wise, but I feel like sometimes if some people, especially around their age group, actually says something like that, then you have to think where they're coming from with this, because I know that some people who are older have limited experience of interacting and including young adults, teens and children and babies who are on the autistic spectrum. And I get it. I get it is challenging, but you really have to think about where you're coming from with this point of view, especially if you're talking to someone who is on the autistic spectrum. And for me, it was kind of like a similar different feelings and approach. And I never knew about this, but when I talked to my parents about it, they said that they agreed with me, and they told me that they understand where I'm coming from, and they added a little bit to what I just said to you now, guys. So it's kind of like a little bit of words that was passed on to me, and now I'm passing it on to you. It is important to understand that to understand autism, you really have to see and experience it for yourself, and it doesn't matter if you are an individual or a carer or a parent or a guardian who looks after a person on the autistic spectrum. And for me, this is quite a true thing, because even though I'm on the autistic spectrum myself, lots and lots of people who are around me know that I need additional needs, additional support, and also additional understanding. And for me, I did need that self-understanding because this was something that I really needed to actually stop and reflect about. And again, whilst we were having this discussion, my parents talked to me about my own story and how they dealt with it before I am the person I am today. Let's just put it that way. But when I was younger, I was a terror. I was nothing but trouble. I used to scream a lot, and there was one time, which I'm still embarrassed to hear this story, one time I actually went into a store, and when I was not really wanting to go out to the store or just really want to be with my parents, I'll just walk off and just happily walk along as if I was in my own little world. But then when my mum and dad actually picked me up, I think it was my dad, but I can't really remember, but I think it's definitely my dad. My dad actually picked me up, and all of a sudden I started screaming, "Help! Save me! Save me! This man's trying to kidnap me!" And for a child to say that with your own dad, it was quite embarrassing, and a lot of people came rushing up to us to say, "Oh, are you trying to kidnap that child?" And my dad was like, "No, she's just having a little temper tantrum." And I still feel really embarrassed, really, but it just goes to show that this example can lead to a lot of frustration. Sorry, mum and dad. Not a lot of people who know me outside the family know that I was a terror when I was a kid. But it just goes to show that I have come a very long way from being that child all the way up to being an adult. But still, since I am an adult, that doesn't really prove that every single person should have sympathy for those on the autistic spectrum. It still frustrates me, really, just to think about it, because in a way, I don't know how to put this, but it's kind of like when you think of the word sympathy, you can think about it in different ways. It just questions you, does it really make sense? Autism is simply a part of a person's identity, and I always like to believe that autism is a part of who we are, and for autism it's part of who I am. Just because there may be some negativity, autism can be seen in a different approach, and I was like that, but I am proud to say now that I have no shame of being autistic. I love being autistic, hands down, and even though it is tricky at times, I'm finding it a way just to spread the messages out there, and that's why I love my autism so much. I didn't really used to like it before because I had struggled to fit in or to make new friends, but the reason why I love it now is because I'm doing things that I thought I would never do about 15 years ago. I would never get a chance just to sit down, speak in front of a camera, and just say, "Oh, hello, I'm spreading awareness about autism," but I'm doing it, and that's the main thing that is a part of me. And I don't care what anyone thinks or what anyone says, even if it's something negative. I'm just gonna go with the flow and give it all I've got. And I know that if I do a lot more work with that, I'm actually going to be very happy for the rest of my life, because I feel that this was my life's purpose, even though I'm not religious. And I think that's probably what I'm going to say, because I have nothing more to say, and I think I'm just gonna have to stop where I am, because I know I may go overboard a bit, and yeah, my brain's not really working. I just came back from walking with the dogs, so I'm just feeling a little bit sleepy at the moment today. But yeah, I really hope that this video gave you a little bit more of an insight to this, and I want to leave you guys with a question now. Do you really think that people should feel sympathetic to everyone on the autistic spectrum? I know I've given my own opinions, but I would really love to know everyone else's opinions. Do you think we should be sympathetic towards autism? Let me know in the comment section down below, and let's get talking about it. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this one, and I have a feeling this is going to be a really big discussion in the chat. So yeah, please feel free to have a chat and chat along the way. So until then, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will be be doing a few things very soon, so I don't know if this is going to be my last upload for a while, but we're just going to have to see how we go and see how everything works out. So until then, have a wonderful day, and always remember to keep on dreaming and to never stop believing. I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.